He kicked her in front of everyone. A pregnant maid accused of carrying an illegitimate child. They thought her husband was dead. But when the truth walked through those doors, the hall shook. A son was forced to his knees. A father struck his own heir. And a town never forgot that night. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it, and where are you watching from. Let's start. The chandelier sparkled above the mansion's dining hall, but its beauty was wasted on the silence gripping the room. Every guest's eyes were fixed on one scene. A young woman in a maid's blue uniform, her swollen belly pressing against the apron tied too tight, her trembling hands clutching a tray. "Keep your filthy hands off me," the young heir barked. His voice cracked across the marble like a whip. He was tall, well-dressed in a fitted black suit, and every inch of him wry of arrogance. The maid froze. I was only wiping the stain, sir," she whispered, her yellow-gloved fingers still shaking. The heir sneered. "Do you think a servant like you can touch me? You disgust me." Gasps rippled among the guests. Some lowered their eyes. Others leaned forward, unable to look away. Tears pricked her eyes, but she pressed one hand protectively to her belly. "Please, it was an accident." The glass slipped. "Excuses." His voice was sharp, merciless. "That's all you people know. Lies and excuses." Her chest tightened. Lies. That word had followed her for months. When her belly first began to swell, her in-laws spat at her like poison. They had stared at her in horror, whispering that their son was gone. "David is dead," her father-in-law thundered. "How dare you bring another man's bastard into our house?" She had fallen to her knees, begging. "No, David is alive. This is his child. I swear to you." But they slammed the door in her face. To them, her husband was gone forever. No letters, no calls, no news from the front. A widow's swelling stomach could only mean one thing. Betrayal. They branded her unfaithful, cast her into the streets with nothing but shame and her unborn child. Now here she was months later working as a maid, her pride crushed, her body heavy, carrying trays while whispers followed her everywhere. And tonight, in front of those glittering guests, she stood humiliated again. "Sir, I beg you," she tried once more. The heir's patience snapped, his lips curled, his eyes burning with contempt. "I'll teach you to remember your place." Before anyone could react, his polished shoe lashed forward. The sound was sickening. A heavy thud of leather against flesh. The blow landed just above her swollen belly, slamming into her ribs. The tray flew from her hands. Plates crashed to the marble. Silverware scattered across the hall. Her scream ripped through the silence. "Ah!" She stumbled, one hand clutching her side, the other thrown around her stomach in desperate protection. Her knees buckled, her back arched with pain. Gasping, she clutched at the edge of the table, her nails scraping wood as her breath came in broken sobs. The guests shot to their feet. "Stop!" one man shouted. A woman covered her face, whispering, "Dear God!" The heir straightened his jacket, unmoved. "Pathetic. If you can't even stand after one kick, you shouldn't be working here." Her chest heaved. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she forced herself upright, trembling with every breath. "Please, my child," she whispered hoarsely, her voice cracking with terror. "Not my problem." The heir spat. He leaned closer, his voice low and cruel. "Next time, remember, you're nothing but a maid. A pregnant maid and nothing more." Her humiliation burned hotter than the pain in her ribs. She had been branded a liar by her in-laws, cast out into the streets, and now kicked like an animal. Her lips quivered, but her voice carried a spark. "One day you'll regret this." The heir laughed bitterly. "Regret? The only regret I'll have is letting you stay under this roof." The room held its breath. Guests shifted unsettled, some glaring at him with disgust, others whispering in disbelief. The maid drew herself up as best she could, clutching her belly, her ribs aching with every inhale. Her voice, though weak, carried enough weight to silence the hall. "You've kicked the wrong woman." Gasps rose around her. The heir's smirk faltered. And then, before anyone could move, the heavy dining room doors creaked open. All eyes turned. The heavy dining room doors creaked open. A man in a dust-stained military jacket strode in, his boots echoing on the marble floor. His face was gaunt from months away, his eyes hardened by silence and distance. Anna's hand flew to her mouth, trembling. "David." Gasps filled the hall, but not of recognition. To everyone else, he was a stranger. They had buried him months ago in their minds. Gone, dead. David crossed the floor in long strides, his gaze locking on his wife, bent over, clutching her belly, pain etched on her face. His voice cracked. "Anna, what happened?" Why are you standing here in a maid's dress? Why are you crying? She sobbed but could not speak. It was the guests who broke the silence. The young master kicked her, one blurted voice shaking. We all saw it. David's head snapped toward the air. His body trembled with rage, but before he unleashed it, he turned back to Anna. His voice broke. Why? Why are you working as a maid pregnant with my child? Her tears spilled freely. Because your family threw me out. They said you were dead. They said this child wasn't yours. They called me a liar. I had no home, David. I had no choice. His jaw clenched. They told you I was dead. She nodded. No letters, no calls, nothing. How could I prove you were alive? David's fists shook. I wasn't dead. I was trapped. My mission was locked down. No contact, no name, no location. I lived every moment of hell. And you bore the punishment for it. The room buzzed with shock. The in-laws stood at the back, pale, trembling, their guilt carved into their faces. David turned on the air, his fury unleashed. And you? Did you dare raise your boot against my wife? The boy tried to sneer. She's just the word never finished. David's fist closed on his collar, slamming him to the marble floor. Gasps ripped through the hall as the heir's knees crashed down. On your knees, David thundered. His voice was pure command. The heir whimpered, forced down until his legs buckled. Now beg. I am sorry, the heir stammered, his voice cracking. He turned his tear-stained face toward Anna. Please forgive me. I didn't know. You knew enough to kick me, Anna said, her voice sharp through her tears. And that is something I will never forget. The hall had barely regained its breath when another voice boomed. What? What did you just say? The crowd parted. The millionaire himself had entered, his white suit glowing beneath the chandelier, his face thunderous. He had returned home to find his son on his knees, his guest whispering, and a soldier gripping him by the collar. The old man's gaze turned from the bruised maid to his broken son. You kicked a pregnant woman. The heir stammered. Father, I smack. The sound echoed like a gunshot. The millionaire's hand had struck his son's face, so hard his head whipped to the side. Gasps filled the room. You shame me, the old man roared, seizing his son's collar and dragging him forward. His voice thundered, shaking the crystal above. I gave you wealth. I gave you my name, and this is what you do. You strike a woman with child. I will teach you what respect means if it takes the rest of my life. The son cowed, eyes wide with terror. The crowd erupted in whispers. The arrogant heir struck down by his own father before all. The millionaire turned then to Anna and David, his face softened, his voice breaking. Forgive us. Forgive my house. I cannot undo your suffering, but I will not let you bear it alone. The cost of your child's birth. Every need, every doctor, every comfort will be paid by me. Not as charity, but as gratitude. Gratitude for the lesson you've taught me tonight. Anna wept openly. David's hand tightened around hers. The old man bowed his head before them, his voice thick. I built this empire, but tonight I learned that wealth means nothing if a man cannot respect a woman who carries life. Forgive me. Forgive my son. The hall fell into odd silence. Never before had the proud millionaire lowered himself so. David pulled Anna close, his arms strong around her shoulders. His voice carried one last time across the room. Let this night be remembered. A woman branded a liar has been vindicated. A family's arrogance has been broken, and respect once lost has been restored. The guests bowed their heads. The in-laws sobbed quietly in the back. And the heir, face red from his father's slap, knees bruised from the marble, knew his disgrace would stain him forever. As the soldier and his wife walked out together, the chandelier's light followed them, and the town would never forget the night the truth shattered lies and power itself knelt in shame. Don't miss the full story of betrayal, humiliation, and shocking truth. Watch till the end to see how justice crushed arrogance and restored dignity. Subscribe now for more real emotional stories that hit harder than fiction.